casual Monday night matchup. No big deal here. Draymond Green. Middle of the third quarter, Warriors find themselves trailing 71-66 after a Draymond turnover. Take a look at Steve Kerr and Draymond getting into it. Heated argument during a timeout. Green would actually get up and leave the bench and miss the final 20 minutes of the game.
Draymond Green just had another full-on blow-up, and this time it was loud, public, and impossible to ignore. A heated sideline shouting match with Steve Kerr, voices raised, body language wild, and then, boom, Draymond storms straight to the locker room like we've seen way too many times before. And yet somehow, we're still supposed to act like this is all part of the championship culture. Meanwhile, the Golden State Warriors are sitting around .500, not dominating, not scaring anyone, just stuck in the middle. That's the real issue here. The tension is boiling over, patience is thinning, and questions about Draymond's future in Golden State are getting louder by the game. This isn't a one-off emotional moment. This is a pattern, and the Warriors can't keep pretending it's not a problem forever. Be real. How many more sideline meltdowns does Draymond get before the front office actually steps in and does something? Drop your take in the comments, and yeah, hit subscribe because this drama isn't slowing down anytime soon. Now let's set the scene. Warriors versus Orlando Magic. Golden State wins 120-97, which looks clean on paper, but that score is lying to you. The real story had nothing to do with buckets or defense. Midway through the third quarter, Draymond and Kerr get into a heated exchange on the bench, and you could tell instantly this wasn't some quick disagreement. Faces tight, arms flying, words you don't need a mic to understand. Draymond then storms off to the locker room to cool down, eventually returns to the bench, but here's the part that matters. He never checks back into the game after the 8-minute mark in the third quarter. Steve Kerr benches him for the rest of the night, sends a message loud and clear, and what happens next is wild.
Still have this guy, Steph Curry, third quarter Warriors down 5. Step back over Banchero. Nasty.
Rain!
Warriors down 2. Later in the third, Warriors up 2. Gary Payton the second to Curry.
I mean, he's like 20
shimmy
feet.
shake, shimmy shake.
20 feet
Wet,
closer than
baby.
he normally is.
Just over 3 minutes to go in the third. Warriors now up 1. Banchero with the turnover. Curry, Payton, flush it.
The Warriors go on a 41-18 run with Draymond glued to the bench. That's not noise, that's a warning sign. Let that sink in for a second, because now the excuses start flying fast. People rush to say, oh, this is just another normal day for these two. Championships together, yelling before, competitive fire, nothing new, except that explanation is getting tired fast. Because when the same thing keeps happening, it stops being passion and starts looking like a pattern. And patterns usually expose truths people don't want to face. So let's talk about what actually went down. Steve Kerr calls a timeout because the Golden State Warriors lost focus. Totally fair. That's literally his job. But during that timeout, whatever was said between him and Draymond Green didn't just stay heated, it escalated fast. Voices up, emotions high, and then Draymond makes a move that matters a lot here. He wasn't sent to the locker room. He walked off on his own. That's a big distinction. That tells you Draymond felt the situation was spiraling and decided to remove himself before it got uglier.
Ben Draymond Green if I'm running the Warriors. I don't think I have any other choice in the matter with what happened last night. The Warriors were trying to win their second game in a row. They were playing a team that has really been disappointed in my mind, the Orlando Magic. The Warriors were 2 games under. Forget Butler and Curry and Green and Kerr, and they've been together forever, and Butler was supposed to add some gravitas and a third option. The reality here is that during the game, Draymond Green and Steve Kerr got into it. The video shows that Kerr was leaning into the huddle, and you see him focused on Draymond solely. He's sitting next to Curry on his left, Moody on his right, but he's focused on Draymond. Draymond puts his head in his towel, getting yelled at, and then all of a sudden he stands up, and he walks away.
That's not discipline. That's self-control mixed with frustration. After the game, Kerr kept it clean and diplomatic, like a coach trying to keep a lid on boiling water. He said they had it out, Draymond went to cool off, and that's all he was willing to say. Everything stays internal. Nothing to see here. Classic coach talk when you're trying to stop locker room tension from turning into a media circus. But here's the key detail Kerr didn't dodge. Draymond was not going back into that game. Period. Whether he left on his own or was told to stay back didn't matter. The decision was final. His night was over. Then Draymond speaks, and his words say more than he probably intended. He admitted his temper spilled over, said it was an emotional game and that stepping away felt like the best move because it wasn't going to get better. Then he drops this line: being around people for a long time creates a comfort level where this stuff happens. That doesn't sound like a one-time thing. That sounds like familiarity turning into friction, and that's where real problems start. Translation: we've done this dance before, and we'll probably do it again. Deal with it. That's the unspoken message, but here's the real question nobody wants to touch. Should they keep dealing with it? Because this isn't about one argument on one random night. This is about a pattern that keeps repeating louder every time. Look at this season alone. Draymond Green has been involved in multiple incidents.
What happened and why did you leave the bench?
Temper spilled over, and I just thought it was best that I get out of there. I don't think there was a situation where it was going to get better. So it was just best to remove myself, you know. That's it.
What caused the argument?
Basketball, you know. It's what we do. We play basketball. It's an emotional game. You know, people lose their emotions sometimes. It happens. It is what it is. You know, we've been at this now for a long time, you know. So sometimes you with people for a long time, there's a level of comfort and shit.
The ejection against the Memphis Grizzlies after going at Colin Gillespie, the nonstop technical fouls, the emotional volatility that never really cools off. At some point, competitive fire stops being inspiring and starts becoming expensive. So let's talk basketball, not vibes, because numbers don't care about legacy. Heading into that game, Draymond was leading the entire league in turnover percentage. Not near the top. Number one, let that hit. And the moment he left the floor, the Warriors took off like a different team. The offense opened up, the ball popped, shots started falling. Stephen Curry went a perfect 6 for 6 in the third quarter after Draymond exited. Now pause, does that mean Draymond is suddenly a net negative? Not automatically. That's too easy and too lazy. His defensive impact is still real. Golden State ranks top tier defensively, 3rd in defensive rating, 4th in steals, 8th in assists. A lot of that comes straight from Draymond's voice, positioning, and basketball IQ. He does the stuff that never shows up in the box score. And yes, that part is true. But here's the uncomfortable part nobody likes saying out loud. At some point, the negatives start creeping past the positives.
Nature of the conversation you and Draymond had on the bench in the third quarter before he went to the locker room?
Yeah, we got into it obviously, and you know, I took the time out just because I thought we lost our focus there a little bit, and so we had it out a little bit, and you know, he made his decision to go back to the locker room to cool off, and that's all I'm going to say about it. It's everything is private, and yeah, I got nothing further to add.
When your turnover rate is sky high and your team goes on a monster run without you, those intangibles get harder to protect. When you're blowing up on the sidelines at your own coach mid-game, the chemistry you're supposed to bring starts looking shaky. And that brings us to the core of this. The relationship between Draymond and Steve Kerr is complicated. These guys have shared everything: 4 championships, dynasty-level dominance, unstoppable peaks, and injury-filled valleys. That kind of history builds trust, but it also builds tension. And right now, that tension is spilling into public view, whether the Warriors like it or not. Let's be honest, Steve Kerr has defended Draymond Green more than almost any coach in the league would. The Jordan Poole incident, the suspension for the stomp on Domantas Sabonis. Every time Draymond crossed the line, Kerr stepped in front of the cameras and took the heat. Public support, calm tone, protect the locker room every single time. But let's not kid ourselves, everything has a limit. And when you watch that sideline exchange, it doesn't look like routine frustration. Kerr didn't look mildly annoyed. He looked worn down. That's the kind of frustration that comes from dealing with the same situation again and again and again. Not anger, fatigue. Draymond even said it himself post-game. He claimed their arguments never lingered because they kept winning.
Would you have gone back to him?
No, he wasn't going back in.
Did he? And was that a decision by him or you?
Well, he left. He went back to the locker room, and so we moved forward, and the guys played great. A hell of a win, really good second half, and I'm very proud of the team. And yeah, like I said, nothing more to discuss from my end.
Just to clarify, he went to the locker room. He wasn't sent to the locker room.
Right.
That's the key phrase right there. Kept winning. Past tense. Because the Golden State Warriors aren't winning at a championship level anymore. They're sitting at 15-15, right at .500, scrapping just to stay in the playoff picture as a potential 8 seed. That cushion that winning gives you, gone. When you're lifting trophies, you can tolerate emotional outbursts and personality quirks. When you're mediocre and inconsistent, those same behaviors turn into full-blown problems. The context has changed, but Draymond's approach hasn't. Kerr even admitted their goal coming into the season was a top 4 seed. Look at the standings. That goal isn't even in the same universe right now. The West is stacked. Oklahoma City Thunder, Denver Nuggets, Houston Rockets, Memphis Grizzlies, Minnesota Timberwolves, Los Angeles Lakers, all younger, more stable, and trending up. Golden State's late push last year fooled some people, but this season feels different. This feels like reality catching up. And part of that reality is Stephen Curry being 36 years old, dealing with ankle issues, and carrying a massive offensive load night after night. That margin for drama is shrinking fast, and the Warriors know it, even if they don't want to say it out loud. Here's the part Warriors fans don't want to face. Reality says Klay Thompson is gone. He's in Dallas now, wearing different colors, trying to find his rhythm on a new team and a new timeline. That alone changes everything. Reality also says Golden State's supporting cast is solid, but not elite. Good players, smart players, but not championship-level difference makers. And then there's the hardest truth. Draymond Green is 34 years old. He's not the same force he was during those title runs. Scoring was never his job, fine, but his defensive versatility and playmaking, those are slipping, the turnovers are climbing, the efficiency is dipping, and the emotional volatility, which always came with the package, is showing up more often and causing more damage. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Could Draymond actually get traded? On the surface, it sounds crazy. He's a Warriors lifer, first ballot Hall of Famer, 4 rings, the emotional and defensive backbone of a dynasty. You don't just move a guy like that, and Steve Kerr even said they need him, and defensively, that's probably true. But if you're the Golden State Warriors front office, you can't live on nostalgia. You have to ask the uncomfortable questions. Is this team actually good enough to contend with Draymond? Are the constant blow-ups worth the shrinking on-court returns? And maybe the toughest one, what's the market for a 34-year-old defensive specialist with turnover issues and a reputation for volatility? Let's be real, the market is thin. Maybe a young team talks themselves into his toughness and championship DNA. Maybe a coach convinces himself he can manage the personality better than others. But the truth is brutal. Draymond's value is tied almost entirely to Golden State, the system, the personnel, the history. Remove that context and you're left with a declining player carrying serious baggage. Just look at Klay Thompson again, one of the greatest shooters ever, a Warriors icon. And now with the Dallas Mavericks, he's struggling. Not because he forgot how to shoot, but because fit matters, context matters. The Warriors system elevated Klay, and without it, he's just another really good shooter trying to survive in a setup that doesn't fully suit him. That's the warning sign. Legacy doesn't travel as well as people think, and Golden State is starting to learn that the hard way. This is where things get real. Draymond Green would face the same harsh reality anywhere else. His entire Hall of Fame resume is built on what he did in Golden State Warriors next to Stephen Curry. His defensive versatility worked because elite scorers carried the offense. His playmaking worked because defenses were terrified of Steph and Klay Thompson pulling from anywhere on the floor. Strip that context away, and suddenly he doesn't fit cleanly into most systems. You're left with a player who needs a very specific environment to thrive, and that matters more than fans want to admit. And here's the thing, Draymond knows this. His post-game comments about moving forward and everyone wanting to win didn't sound reckless. They sounded aware. He understands his situation. He's not getting moved unless something completely catastrophic happens. Golden State isn't blowing up what's left of their core over one sideline blow-up. Not happening. But let's not pretend everything's fine either. The cracks are showing, and cracks don't magically disappear. They widen over time. Draymond's frustration about being 15-15 is valid. Nobody expected this roster to be mediocre. The hope was health, development, and one more real push at contention. Instead, they're scrapping for playoff positioning while juggling internal tension. And listen closely to what Draymond actually said. If everyone's okay being 15-15, talk to me when we're 41-41. That's not a throwaway line. That's a veteran reading the writing on the wall. This roster, as currently built, isn't good enough. The championship window, it's closed. And grinding emotionally just to stay average wears on everyone. As for Steve Kerr, his comments about being ready to move forward felt like textbook damage control. Of course he's going to say that publicly, but watch his face in that post-game interview. That wasn't surprise, it was recognition. This isn't new. This is the same issue resurfacing again and again, and no matter how patient a coach is, even the most loyal ones eventually hit a breaking point. The Golden State Warriors are officially at a crossroads. They can keep telling themselves this is just another bump in the road, another argument between ultra-competitive guys who'll hash it out and move on like always. Or they can finally admit the uncomfortable truth. This team doesn't work the way it used to, and running it back again isn't magically bringing different results. Draymond Green's days in Golden State aren't numbered because of one sideline argument. They're numbered because time always wins. Players age, dynamics shift. What worked in 2017 does not work in 2025. The Warriors are clinging to the past while trying to survive in a present that doesn't care about banners or legacy. Whether this specific incident becomes a real breaking point or just another footnote in the complicated relationship between Draymond and Steve Kerr remains to be seen. But the pattern is impossible to ignore. The frustration is real, and pretending everything's fine because they won titles 6 years ago is not a sustainable plan. Yeah, Draymond and Kerr will probably patch this up, shake hands, say the right things, move forward like nothing happened. They've done it before. But here's the reality check. The Warriors are 15-15. The tension is obvious. This core is running on fumes. And at some point, competitive fire stops being an advantage and starts becoming a problem. If you want basketball breakdowns that don't sugarcoat the drama, hit like, share this with a real Hoops fan, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Stay tuned. This story is far from over.